thing we're going to look at is this idea of a presence audit. And the word authenticity's come up. We've also had this concept of connection. You know, when we personalize issues, we increase our opportunity to influence people and our impact through the connection. So the presence audit, what is it? It's a 3-word audit. Yippee! It's only 3 words long, so it doesn't take that long to actually come up with, but there is a process for doing it. And its purpose is to align, to make your presence more consistent in any situation. So I'm thinking on your calls, I'm thinking online, on stage, board meetings, okay? So it's about having that kind of consistency, and it connects to who you are. This authenticity thing about Brené Brown and the vulnerability of actually showing up as the whole person. So I want to give you a little method about how you can go about creating a presence audit. And the illustration of this is this fella. Do we know him? Recognize him? Yeah, thank you. Oh, say it nice, loud and proud. Thank you so much. So Satya Nadella is the CEO of Microsoft. So you don't know his face, you certainly know his products. And he has been in the news a lot. His company is now the biggest company in the world, market cap of $1 trillion. I don't even know what that means. London Stock Exchange, I mean, what does that mean? $1 trillion, okay. So his tenure started in 2014, but he actually has been on board at Microsoft much longer than that. So when he's been interviewed about the success of Microsoft, you know, when he joined in 2014, it was in the doldrums. They were unsure about what to do about mobile computing and the cloud. They were just, you know, they were a little bit adrift. And since he's been there, you know, it's gone back to the #1 slot over Apple. And what does he credit with the success of his company? He credits it with a cultural transformation. And at the heart of that cultural transformation is developing personal presence. So he has a book called Hit Refresh, what else? And his book is looking at the story of Microsoft so far. And he says the start of that transformation of Microsoft was in a senior leadership meeting, 2014, when he started on board. This leadership meeting would normally take place in the very fancy offices, very plush, very beautiful, a bit like the place we are in now, you know, offices. And he didn't want business as usual, so he said, right, we're going to do it in the creative space. So this is where the geeky types go and create software and wonderful things and AI and all the rest of it. So it was already a different kind of meeting for these people who all kind of knew each other. The next thing he said when he opened the meeting was, what's your story? Can you imagine starting a senior leadership meeting with that question? People looked at him and they were like, okay, what does he want us to say? Where is this going? And it was going south because people were really uncomfortable. So he stepped in and started to tell his own story. So he's a kid from Hyderabad in India, passionate about cricket, loves poetry, and also good at aspects of computing. Starts work at Microsoft as a young man, and then starts to rise through the ranks. And he suddenly said, the thing that has made me a better leader is my child. And then he starts to tell a story about a disabled child where there are lots of late nights, visits to hospital, lots of pain, seeing someone that you love who is so tiny in a lot of pain. And he said what it opened up to him as a leader was making him more empathic. So when he turned up, he was tuned in not only to his own emotions, but to the emotions of people around him. So then there was an aha moment. People said, okay, I think we know what he wants us to say. So in that meeting, people started sharing their story and sharing their passions outside of the office, you know, who they were, their family, their loved ones. And it really hit that room that people did not know. They had worked with each other for years. He'd been there since he was a very young man. They didn't know each other at all. And what he decided was to harness the power of people's passions, their whole presence, bringing that into the workplace. And my goodness, you could hardly argue with that kind of success. I think it's been a pretty ropey journey. It's not been straightforward at all. And everybody wanted to be part of that new way of running the company. But those silos and that hyper-competitiveness, eased a bit. So what I want to do is to take you back to the Presence Audit. How do you start this process of being authentic, of showing up whole? This is a technique that we can do. So here we go. What I want you to do is a presence audit. I'll just do my presence audit of him. When I think of Satya Nadella, I think of someone who is calm. I think we had that as a quality earlier on. I think of him as, you might be surprised because he looks like a gentle giant type character. But when you see him interviewed and when he's talking on stage about the topics that he cares about, really passionate communicator, his passionate presence. And I think the third quality I like about him, very determined. If I was describing his presence, you kind of know that this guy's going to make it happen. As a leader, you get that confidence in where he's going to take people. So those three words are the kind of guide that I want you to come up with in the session that we've got now. It won't be those words, but it will be the words that you determine that are relevant to you, the organization that you work with, and that you can transport in all the different forms of your business interaction.